So on today's show, let's talk about medicine, healing. Let's analyze.
There is a drug that is proving to be of miraculous impact. Mountains of data have emerged from many centers and countries around the world showing the miraculous effectiveness of ivermectin. It basically obliterates transmission of this virus. If you take it, you will not get sick. The most profound evidence we have is in the hospitalized patients. We have 4 randomized controlled trials there, multiple observation trials, all showing the same thing. You will not die, or you will die at much, much, much lower rates. Statistically significant, large magnitude results if you take ivermectin. I'm a lung specialist. I'm an ICU specialist. I've cared for more dying COVID patients than anyone can imagine. They're dying because they can't breathe. Early treatment is key.
So recently I had COVID. If you look at our other channel, One Mediator Media, I describe some of the symptoms I went through. That's not the point of this video. But the goal of this video is to talk about medicine, to talk about healing in the Bible. So if you want to know more about that experience, check out our other channel, One Mediator Media. But again, so today we're covering this topic of medication, medicine, and healing in the Bible and why it's important. Check out this next video. This is a good example of going to this far extreme of picking out things in the Bible and not fully applying them correctly can lead to disaster. So let's check it out.
Tonight, a new documentary premieres about an epidemic of children dying here in the Northwest.
Now, that documentary is based on our own Dan Tilken's investigative reporting into the Followers of Christ Faith Healing Church in Oregon and in Idaho.
The documentary gets inside these faith healing families' belief system and the people fighting to save the kids from their own parents.
Seems like every time we turn around, there's some government entity looking to encroach on that freedom. I don't understand it. I guess I'm just too simple a man.
Dan CV is a central figure in the documentary. His 14-year-old son Rocky died in his wife's arms from untreated pneumonia. Rocky's death was the first child fatality I made public in 2011 in my investigation into the Followers of Christ churches in Idaho.
As the sheriff, it's unimaginable that a parent would not do whatever they could to save their child.
I was the first to tell her story when she launched her mission 5 years ago. She was raised in the church and is trying to convince the legislature to end what you see at the Followers of Christ Cemetery outside of Boise, where 5 couples have been prosecuted, including, most recently, Travis and Sarah Mitchell. They were just sentenced to prison in July. Their newborn daughter had difficulty breathing and died hours after birth.
This is what children died of back in the 1800s, not in the 2000s.
The documentary follows her frustration and failure to change the minds of those with the power to save kids.
So you guys just saw that video, and it's a prime example of why we need to be very cautious about making sure that we read our Bible thoroughly, completely, and we apply all knowledge on the Bible and not just certain aspects, because that's where we end up with some really bizarre beliefs out there, and it really causes the world to look at us as a certain way. Not that that matters, but if you're going to be a light for Christ, that's not what you want to do. So that being said, let's take a look at some verses, talk about them, and see where we go with this. So the first verse I want to focus on here is Proverbs 17:22. It says, "A joyful heart is good medicine, but a broken spirit dries up the bones." And so the Bible tells us to be filled with the Spirit. And that's crucial for our health, crucial for our salvation, crucial for many things. And so this just brings light to the fact that it's very important, number one, to be filled with the Spirit. Number two, finding that joy in the Lord, as opposed to other things. And that a joyful heart is good medicine. Many people use this, in terms of, laughter, humor, comedy. That all that is good medicine to the soul, and it really is. But first and foremost, being filled with the Spirit, I think that's a crucial part. So the second verse here, 1 Timothy 5:23, "Do not go on drinking only water, but use a little wine for the sake of your stomach and frequent ailments." So here, Paul reminds us he's talking to Timothy, and Timothy, I guess he has frequent issues with his stomach, right? And so he tells him to use a little wine for the sake of his stomach. So using some kind of medicine, some kind of an outside agent to enter the body to make it feel better, to reduce the frequent ailments. In this case, it's a little bit of wine typically, it says do not go on drinking only water, but a little bit of wine. So they used to mix in a little bit of wine into there. So number one, it wouldn't be potent. Number two, he wasn't using it for the purpose of drinking alcohol, but more so it was for the purpose of remedying the issue with his stomach. And so here's one instance where something's used for medicinal purposes. And so when somebody makes the argument that, we are not to use anything like that, we're only to rely on the Lord. Yes, first, we're supposed to rely on the Lord first and foremost, but he gave us certain things to help us. And here's one example where that's very, very clear. Use this to help you with this stomach issue. Let's continue. Now, Isaiah 38:21 says, "Now Isaiah had said, let them take a cake of figs and apply it to the boil that he may recover." And so here we have Isaiah saying, take this natural substance, right? Mix it up, make it into a paste, and put it over this boil that he may recover. And so taking an external agent, applying it externally so that there's healing. So here's an example again. And there's many natural properties in figs. And so we're going to cover that right now. But in the leaves, in the plant itself, in the fruit itself. So this application of it is one example where something that God created can be used as a medication to heal something. So there's recovery. So here's another example of that. So let's take a look a little closer. So I found this article here. It says all you need to know about figs, and there's both pros and cons to using figs. But I just thought, well, let's find out what it's good for. First and foremost, we know it's nutritious, right? We know it has certain things. So certain, let's see, copper, magnesium, potassium, different things that are beneficial to the body. But what I want to focus on was on the medicinal properties. And so it says the benefits: promoting digestive and heart health, along with potentially helping manage blood sugar levels. And so there's three different things that it looks like it may help with. It says it contains fiber, softening, adding bulk to stools. And so one is digestive. Okay, so it does contain fiber, which is great for that particular purpose. Fig fruit extract or paste helps speed the movement of food through the digestive tract, reducing constipation. So that's one instance where it helps. They've done studies here. A study in 150 people with irritable bowel syndrome. They experienced a significant reduction in symptoms, including pain, bloating, and constipation. Now, as far as vascular health, it says one study found that fig extract decreased blood pressure in rats. And again, extract, right? So it doesn't say that you can just go and eat the fruit and you're going to get this benefit. It's an extract. It has medicinal properties, but you have to extract them, appropriately. Animal studies have shown improvement in total cholesterol, HDL, good cholesterol through fig extract. Down here, however, it says in a 5-week study in 83 people with high LDL, bad cholesterol, researchers noted when they ate about 14 dried figs in their daily diet, there were no changes to blood fat levels, so on and so forth. So big difference between the extract versus the actual fruit, dried fruit itself. The dried fruit, so we read earlier, helps with perhaps constipation and digestive health, but not necessarily other things. That would be the extract. So blood sugar levels, this is one study from 1998, it's a little older. It says 10 people with type 1 diabetes found that having fig leaf tea with breakfast may have decreased their insulin needs. So there's that tea. Okay, there's different properties, right? There's the fruit, there's the extract, and then there's the tea. And in this case, it was found to help decrease insulin levels. And again, that was only one study there. A more recent study found that drinks containing high doses of fig fruit extract had a lower glycemic index than beverages with no fig fruit extract. And so here's the extract again, very different from consuming the fruit itself. This is an extract which probably has some kind of a sugar in it. There's different sugars, right? So there's monk fruit, there's stevia, there's different things that give you that sense of sweetness, but not necessarily the spike in blood sugar. I'm assuming this is very similar. Don't hold me to that, not sure, just guessing here. It says, however, fig fruits, especially dried figs, are high in sugar, and that's what we mentioned. So very different, the tea, the extract versus the fruit. The fruit itself, any dried fruit for the most part, is going to be high in sugar. So you don't want to take that for diabetes for sure. And then there's anti-cancer properties. So fig leaves and natural latex from fig plants have been shown to exhibit anti-tumor activity against human colon cancer, breast cancer, cervical cancer, and liver cancer cells. So now this says fig leaves and natural latex from the fig plants. So not necessarily the fruit, right? Could be some kind of an extract. It looks like it's from the leaves as well.
Here are the top health benefits of figs. Number 1. Figs can reduce the risk of development of macular degeneration and protect eyes from loss of vision. Number 2. Fig leaf tea can prevent respiratory conditions like bronchitis and also reduce the symptoms of asthma. Number 3. lowers cholesterol, control hypertension and reduce the risk of coronary heart diseases. Number 4. Helps preventing constipation, eliminates diarrhea and reduce the risk of colon cancer. Number 5. The potassium content of figs helps regulate sugar absorption by the body and treat diabetes. Number 6. The calcium content of figs boosts bone health and strengthens bones. Number 7. Figs are referred as a powerful fertility or sexual supplement that help reduce sexual dysfunction like sterility, endurance or erectile dysfunction. It also boosts energy and provide better sexual stamina. Number 8. Help in weight management, that is reduce weight or when consumed with milk helps weight gain.
So the point is, biblically, we see that when Isaiah was talking about this, it said, now Isaiah said, let them take a cake of figs and apply it to the boil that he may recover. Very different, right? And he was stating that if you take this, there's certain properties in there and you can apply it and it'll recover. So again, another instance where in the Bible, they used an outside agent, right? An external agent to apply a medicinal property to the body. Let's continue. Luke 10:34 says, he went to him and bound up his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he set him on his own animal and brought him to an inn and took care of him. So here we have an example, and this is in reference to the Good Samaritan, but it's still an example of the Bible that Jesus gave us. So he took up pouring oil and wine on the wounds, right? And so oils, again, an external agent being applied directly as a topical solution for healing, and the wine, more likely than not, as an antiseptic. So let's look at this. Let's look at this real quick. So oils. So let's take a look at this. So I did a brief search on oils and found various oils that were used during that time. So it says essential oils for skin health. And so the first oil here, helichrysum essential oil. Helichrysum, it says it's anti-inflammatory, antifungal, antibacterial. So it has many uses. It's useful for healing skin. So relieve skin rashes, relieve infections, increase collagen production. Frankincense oil, soothe skin, kill bacteria, skin tone, geranium essential oil. So there's various oils: lavender essential oil, carrot seed essential oil, cedarwood essential oil, hyssop essential oil, so tea tree oil. So there's various oils, and so I thought, okay, well, which ones were used during this time? And so when I go to see that, so what are the 7 healing oils in the Bible? And so it has various lists here. It says aloes, cassia, cedarwood, cypress, frankincense, galbanum, hyssop, and myrrh, and there were many, right? And so there's anointing oil, and then there's healing oil. And again, it's another example of taking an agent, an external agent, and applying it for healing. And obviously, there's some of them are antiviral, antibacterial. There's many healing properties in these oils. Again, it's something the Lord created. It's used biblically. Why would we say we can't use things?
Do essential oils actually help with anything? Yes. Lavender oil can be used to relieve anxiety or stress and can help you sleep better. Lavender also has antibacterial properties. Peppermint oil can help with tension headaches when you put the diluted oil in your skin. Many people use tea tree oil to help with things like acne, bug bites, and athlete's foot.
So Proverbs 31:6 says, give strong drink to the one who is perishing, and wine to those in bitter distress. Nowadays, we use things like morphine and other things to calm pain and to put people at ease when they are, on their last few days, last few hours. And so here's an example. At the time, obviously they didn't have that. They would use strong drink at that time for somebody who's perishing, and wine to those in bitter distress. So now we have all these medications for distress, for anxiety, for depression. In this case, they were using wine for that purpose. And so, again, given the time, that's what was available, and they would take it for these things. Am I saying we should take anti-depression medication, anxiety, so on and so forth? That's something to discuss with your doctor. That's a choice you have to make. But the argument here is not whether or not you should take anything for that. The argument here is whether or not biblically we can support the idea of taking anything for any purpose when there's a need. And so in this case, it gives an example of somebody perishing, right? Putting them at ease at that point in time, or wine for somebody who is in bitter distress. Lord gives us certain things for healing, for the purpose of soothing, for various reasons, right? Let's continue. Psalm 51:7 says, purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Now, hyssop, in this case, you can argue it was more of a ritual. But when we were talking at this point, I believe they were talking about leprosy here. Hyssop was used for various things, right? It was used as a healing agent. It was used during more of a ritual situation where they used it to sprinkle, right, the various the blood and different things. But when we look up hyssop here, this is the Arbor Gate, not too familiar with it, but it does mention hyssop in here, and it explains a little bit. It says hyssop was mentioned in the Bible for its cleansing effect in connection with plague, leprosy, chest ailments, symbolically in cleansing the soul. In medieval and Renaissance times, hyssop was primarily used for respiratory and digestive ailments. And so again, it's an example of something, an external agent being used for cleansing, for plague, leprosy, chest ailments, symbolically cleansing the soul. So it had medicinal properties, and because of that, it was also used as something representing symbolic cleansing of the soul and various things, but it was also used for that purpose. And during medieval times or the Renaissance times, it was primarily used for respiratory and digestive ailments. It has medicinal properties. And so that's another example when the Bible shows that these things are used for both purposes.
The method of using hyssop oil, whether applied to the body or inhaled, to purge oneself from iniquity has scientific basis. In David Stewart's book, The Chemistry of Essential Oils Made Simple, God's Love Manifest in Molecules, he states that hyssop has constituents that can reprogram the DNA where sinful tendencies or negative emotions are stored, thus releasing and cleansing the root cause of the action. In ancient times, the Jews believed that hyssop repelled evil spirits because of the passage in the book of Exodus where Moses was instructed to tell the elders of Israel to sacrifice a spotless lamb and to use the branch of hyssop to apply the blood of the lamb to the doorpost of their dwellings.
So Mark 5:26 talks about the woman who had the blood issue, right, that was coming out of her. And it says, who had suffered much under many physicians and had spent all that she had and was no better, rather grew worse. And so we've gone through it, and we've seen other people who go through many doctors, through many different prescriptions, many different things that it doesn't make them better, right? Does that mean that we shouldn't seek a doctor? Does that mean that we shouldn't take any medication? I don't believe that's what it means. I think the whole purpose to this, and the Lord is very clear on this, is that He wants us to seek Him first, right? He gives us ways, He gives us different things that we can use to heal us, to do different things. But the most important thing is seek the Lord first. There's people who say, I will only seek the Lord, and that's it. That's your choice if you want to do that, I suppose. But don't refrain others from using things that the Lord also provided, also created for us to use. That's the other issue. So in this case, again, there's physicians who just take advantage of people. There are physicians who actually do try, but they just don't know how to fix something. Human error is a part of, what we deal with. Again, in this case, Jesus healed her. Again, the argument is it that we should only take that approach, or that we should not, we should also seek physicians? Let's continue and see what we find out. So we've gone over a few examples of where the Bible talks about, various plants that have medicinal properties, where it talks about things that could be used symbolically, but many times several times where an external agent is used both topically, internally, to fix ailments of the digestive system, to fix an external ailment, to fix various things. And so I would say there's a clear argument that it's not sin or error to use something to remedy something, to fix something, to make somebody better. But now the next argument would be, okay, but what does the Lord want from us? And let's take a look at that. Does He want us to take these things? Does He not? It looks like perhaps it's not a problem if you do, but let's look at what the Lord ultimately wants. So let's look at a few verses here. Okay, now James 5:14 says, is anyone among you sick? Let him call the elders of the church and let them pray over him, anointing him with oil in the name of the Lord. I think what we're going towards, and we'll see, I think this is the case, is that the Lord wants us to seek Him first. It's very clear. Seek first the kingdom, right? And all these things will be granted to you. They'll be given to you. And so the whole point here is that the Lord wants us to seek Him before anybody else. And so it says, is anyone among you sick? Let him call the elders of the church and let them pray over him. prayer is important. It's huge. Prayer is supposed to be part of our lives consistently. So we're supposed to pray without ceasing, right? And on top of that, we're supposed to have faith in the Lord. Now, sometimes the Lord does heal, sometimes he doesn't. It's within his will. The Lord knows what's happening, right? But first, we're to seek him. First, we are to have faith. Again, doesn't mean you cannot seek help, right? Luke was a physician, right? And so it's an example that the Lord uses everything, uses everybody, right? Good reminder of Romans, right? 8:28, where, God uses all things for good to those that love him, right? And so here's an example of when we are to use and to call the elders to pray, to anoint with oil, right? Here's an example of something external being used as well. So we should search first and foremost the Lord, but these things, again, should we refrain from them? Let's continue. And so a popular story in the Old Testament, it was Asa, right? It says Asa was diseased. This is in Chronicles 16:12. Asa was diseased in his feet, and his disease became severe. Yet even in his disease, he did not seek the Lord, but sought help from physicians. So here we have that issue, right? Physicians versus seeking the Lord. Many will take this verse and say, see, we're not supposed to seek physicians, only the Lord. Okay, this doesn't say only the Lord, right? The problem here, Asa initially did seek the Lord, and the Lord gave him victory. The problem is, eventually, he began to not rely on the Lord. That's the issue, and that's what the Lord wants us to notice, is he pulled away and was no longer seeking him and seeking other things. And in this situation, he was diseased, and it became severe, and he still didn't seek the Lord. But rather, he relied on his own understanding on physicians and different things. It's a combination. Lord first, then you can look for those things, but the Lord could heal you too. So, as we saw many times with Jesus. So again, in this situation, it's not an either or situation, but rather, what is the primary purpose of pretty much everything, life, right? First and foremost, seeking the Lord. If you leave that out, you're already going about it the wrong way. Let's continue. So now we've seen instances where we talked about examples of where people went the wrong way because they didn't use things that the Lord created that could have helped, right? And some of these cults that are out there, they'll do things like that. We've now seen where the Lord said, seek him first. That's a big part of it. That's actually the most important thing. Seek him first. Not an either or, but instead seek him first. These other things, they're provided to help you too. That's not the issue. Many times we don't need those things and we'll be healed. But if we're not healed, that's a part of it. It's a combination. And trusting that he provided, trusting that he will provide. That's a very important part. But let's end with this, because this is the most important thing, I think, and the whole purpose to the entire book. Let's look. So Mark 2:17, and it says, and when Jesus heard it, he said to them, those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. I came not to call the righteous, but sinners. That's the target that God wants us to focus on. It's the soul. That's the most important thing to God, right? Not so much this life, not so much, what you gather in this life, right? Your treasure is supposed to be in heaven, not here. So here Jesus reminds us very clearly of that, and he uses a physician as an example. Those who are well have no need of a physician. Jesus is the great physician, right? And so he's not saying an either or, but in this case, that's the focus. But those who are sick spiritually, sick, because we're all sinners, right? It says, I came not to call the righteous, but sinners. First and foremost, God wants us to put him first before anything else. He is the great physician. Being the physician, he heals you spiritually, but he's also created all these other things that can help you heal physically, right? And so he can do it through faith. He can do it, through using these other things in combination. Got to look at all the different components of the Bible and put them together to come to a good, clear conclusion. If you just look at one aspect and say, this is it, you're going to be confused. You're going to be lost. So read the Old Testament, read the New Testament, read all the components, and you'll know the truth. That's the whole purpose of having the entire book. If you only read certain aspects and ignore others, you're going to be lost completely, right? You'll end up with these different cults and different situations. Focus on the truth. Seek truth. That's the most important thing. Nothing else matters. And that's pretty much what we got. And that's our show for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. The whole thing of COVID going around, people getting sick right now, the whole purpose of this show is to focus on the fact that, number one, seek the Lord. Number two, if he provided us certain things that we can use as medication to help us get better, use them. It's created by God, right? So hope you guys enjoyed that. Subscribe, share this video, put it out there. I think it's important for people to know because there are many people that are confused, right? And we've gone through various verses and various topics today that hopefully will help you, help others, and continue healing, continue seeking the Lord. First and foremost, seek the Lord, right? Thank you guys for stopping by. Hope you come by again, and we'll see you guys soon. Subscribe, like, hit the bell, do what you got to do. But first and foremost, seek the Lord.